Hi, Jessica Paquette, joined here with Bobby Montano. And you have an exciting thing coming up right here in Pennsylvania. Tell us a little bit about Small.
Well, Small is a project that I veered away from for a very long time. I've been pressed constantly to write my story when I was a professional jockey. I was doing a play at the Actors Theater of Louisville, and well, I've done a couple of plays there. And the artistic director John Jury had prompted me to write about it because he said you always seem to put something as an homage in your bio in the playbill about the racetrack, and he said you should write something about it. I was like, yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure if it'd be interesting to other people. And he said, well, let me ask you a couple of questions. And I said, sure. He said, how many races have you won? I was like, oh God, might as well just stab me and just turn it. I said zero. How many races have you rode in? And I said, well, I rode 7 races. And he said, and how long did it take, in that process? I was like, well, several months, to a year. And he said, well, how many races can a jockey ride in a day? And I said, well, with a good agent, you could ride 9 races. And he said, wait a minute, a jockey could ride 9 races in one day. You rode 7 races in several months. What were you doing in between that? And I said, praying to God to stay small and keeping my weight down. And he said, that's your story. It's about perseverance. It's about chasing that dream and not letting it go. And I thought about it, and he kind of put that seed in my head. And it took me a couple of years, and I thought to myself, do I really want to share, my blemishes? It's so much easier to hide behind a mask as an actor, playing somebody else and wearing their shoes as opposed to being myself. And I thought to myself after a while, there's more people out there that are like me than the winners, like the Chad Browns and the Todd Fletchers. They win the Steve Asmusens. So it's us little people that that scale is so much bigger. And I thought, yeah, this is more of a Rocky story, on the racetrack. Uh, so that's how Small came about.
And what did you enjoy most about your time as a jockey?
Oh my God! Well, I love the horses. The horses to me are everything. My dear friend Richie Migliori, when he works very hard to put horses into retirement homes and give them a good life after they've given us everything that they had. Yeah, the horses are always first. To me, they're like overgrown dogs. Although they can't lay on your lap.
Some of them
Uh,
can try. And
yeah.
what things did you learn while you were a jockey that you've kind of taken into these next phases of your life?
Yeah, well, I've taken the definitely the frame of it all, the discipline, um, and you really have to have a passion for something. And when I found my passion later on in dance, it was always there when I was a kid. I just didn't know it. But the discipline and not being afraid to work hard, um, and it's probably why I got further along in the world of show business. When I first started dancing at 20 years old. Most kids, they start when they're 5, 6, but most of the time they seem to get burned out by the time they hit 16. But I was able to implement that structure of working hard and putting my nose to the grindstone and getting to it. There was so much to learn about show business that I did not know, and I thought, being in ballet class, I was like, wow, this is where all the girls are at. And I had to realize I didn't have to. It was a like a splash of cold water that forget the girls right now. And ballet was not a joke. It was very hard, and I had to really work hard at it. That and modern dance, and then later on jazz and tap, and it was, and then singing, and then acting. I mean, it was just a whole lot that I was happy to learn, but it was work.
Now, for folks that want to come see your story, where can they do that here in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, well, they can come to the People's Light Theater. It's a great theater. I've worked there twice before. I've done two plays, one called Fallow by Ken Lin and Barcelona by Bess Wall. I mean, just I love that theater, and Zach Berkman and the whole company. They it's a tight ship over there that they run, and they're great with guest artists as well. Um, yeah, they're just so pro theater, and to accept small into their theater, and especially that theater there, I was very excited to be asked to do it there.
So, folks down in Saratoga got to enjoy the play this summer. Tell me how you brought it here to Pennsylvania.
To Pennsylvania, um, well, I mean, it was asked by Zach Berkman. He had been tracking it, on Facebook, and also he and I had been in constant touch with it, But one of the things that Zach had reached out to me, about was when we started to think about putting it together. He said, I saw that you involve PDJF, and that's something that we would like to involve as
Now,
well.
what is the PDJF for folks that don't know?
Yeah, PDJF is for the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund, and I got to do a small in Saratoga this past summer about one of my producers, Anthony Melfi, and he has never produced a show before. He runs GMP Farms there, and it's a great rehabilitation center for horses in Saratoga. And he said, I would love to do a benefit here on my grounds. Would you be interested in doing it? And I said, I'd have to see what the grounds are. I mean, because it's a theater piece, so I don't know. And then I went there, and it was this huge arena, and I was like, Anthony, I need a stage. I'm gonna need a mic because there's no bounce off these walls. And he said, don't worry about it. Just send me all your creators, and we'll get it done. We'll build you a stage. We'll get you a sound mic. We'll get you this. And he just boom, boom, boom. And he did everything he could in order to get this benefit going for the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund. But when he approached me with it about doing the benefit, and I said, what's the benefit for? He said, PDJF. And I said, I'm in. And he said, well, how much money do you want for it? And I said, no, this is my way of giving back to all the jockeys in the world. I mean, it's which I call the true matadors of the sport of kings. I said, this is my way of giving back. So I was very thrilled, and the people there just accepted the piece. They stood and they cried and they clapped and they laughed. And Gary Stevens, after the show, he just hugged me and he said, bro, you said it like it is, you said the truth, and it was beautiful. And that to me was like, yeah, between him, Richie Migliori, Johnny Velasquez, I mean, the champions of my play. And, I kind of like just had that moment of like, after the show, because racetrackers, they'll tell you the truth.
They sure will.
Yeah, they're not gonna hold it back, So yeah, so I passed the muster, thank God.
And the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund, for folks that don't know, it's a foundation that provides financial assistance for jockeys that are permanently injured while they are competing on the racetrack. This is an incredibly dangerous sport. It is the only sport where an ambulance follows you while you participate in it, and the jockeys do put their lives on the line every time they put a foot in the iron.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, then they don't think twice about getting a leg up on that horse, and yeah, it is a dangerous sport. And I lost my my mentor, Robert Pineda, God rest his soul. He was taken away from us back in 1978 in Pimlico Racecourse. Dangerous sport, but we know what we're getting ourselves into because it's just a love of the competition and being on these incredible animals' back.
Now I have to ask, do you miss it? race riding?
Every day, every day. I have my irons, and the saddle, on my chair. I have my whips on the wall. I have my helmet up there. Yeah, it's not a day that goes by that I don't think about the racetrack. And I prayed when I was a jockey, please God, keep me small. When most men want to be tall, dark, and handsome, I want to make weight and just be small. That's why I wrote this story, because maybe one dream doesn't work out, but another might.
And I think that's a great message. I'm really looking forward to seeing the play.
Yeah, thank you. It'd be good to see you there.